Hi everyone, my name's Graham Beckett and I'm a YPJ leader, and yes, I'm wearing my dressing gown because it's time for some choices. I wonder what choices you've already had to make today, but now I need to choose something for breakfast. So let me show you the choices I've got available for me for breakfast. Okay, are you ready? Well, let me show you. I have got a selection of cereals. You might find these perhaps a bit boring compared to yours. So you see I've got Weetabix, I have Scott's porridge oats, spare oats, and then I've got three types of muesli. We've got a mixture, a homemade mixture in the jar, and then we've got very berry and really nutty muesli. I prefer the really nutty one. And we have Sultana Bran, which I really like, and some fruit, which we normally put on top. So I wonder what I'll choose. What do you think? Well, actually, I'm going to have porridge with a bit of banana on top of it. So that's my choice. Well, here I am at my office. I've had my breakfast. I chose my breakfast, and it's time to get on with the proper talk. Well, some choices, like breakfast, aren't really that important. They're not life-changing. But some choices can actually change the direction of our lives. They're really important ones. And today we're learning all about Ruth, a famous figure from the Bible. And you can read this true story in the Old Testament. It's in the book of the Bible called Ruth, chapters 1 and 2. So, well, are you sitting comfortably? Naomi was very sad. She'd left her home in Bethlehem with her husband and 2 sons to escape a famine. The crops they needed to eat and to sell had not grown, so she decided to go to another country. But things did not go well there. Her husband died. Her sons did get married, but it was so sad. They died as well. So now there was only Naomi and her 2 daughters-in-law, the ones who had married Naomi's sons. But you know, Naomi still trusted God, and when she heard that that terrible famine was all over, she decided to return home to Bethlehem. Think about what that must have felt like, all those things to pack and all those people to say goodbye to. Her sons' wives, Orpah and Ruth, started out with her on the journey. Naomi wanted to go back to her family, God's people in Bethlehem. She knew she was part of God's family and it was important for her to be with them. This shows us how important it is to be a part of God's family. I wonder, do you feel that you belong to God's family with your friends here at Carey? Not everyone is a part of God's family, and it's even possible to belong to a church without being in God's family. But, you know, we'll come back to that later. Back to our story. After they had walked a while on their journey, Naomi told her 2 daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, to go back to her own people. Naomi had been praying that God would show them kindness and allow them to find new husbands and have good lives. So Orpah kissed Naomi goodbye and went on her way. But Ruth hugged Naomi and would not leave her. No, Naomi insisted though. Please go back with Orpah, she said. But Ruth said no. And she appealed to Naomi, saying, "Don't persuade me to leave you or turn from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me very severely, if even death separates us." You see, Ruth had made her choice and was not going to be talked out of it. Her people, the Moabites, were not God's people. But Ruth had decided she wanted to be one of God's people and put her trust in God to take care of her. In a way, it's a little bit like the choice that I made when I became a Christian. Now, when I was 16, I put my trust in God when I finally believed that Jesus had died for my sins, that he was all I needed for my relationship with God to be put right. From that day in 1979, a very long time ago, I have put my trust in Jesus and have been a part of God's family. Have you done that? Well, back to the story again. When Naomi and Ruth arrive in Bethlehem, Ruth has to go to work so that they can eat. It was harvest time in the barley fields, and the people who were poor and probably hungry too, like Ruth and Naomi, were allowed by law to follow the farmers' servants, collecting the crop from around the fields, and pick up all the small seeds and stalks that they had left behind. This was something called gleaning. Now Ruth went to a field owned by Boaz, and he was part of Naomi's husband's family. But Ruth didn't know this. So who do you think helped Ruth to find that place to work? Yes, that's right, it was God. Boaz also believed and trusted in God, so he was part of God's family too. When Boaz heard how Ruth was caring for Naomi, he told everyone working in the field with her to treat her gently and kindly. Leave her alone. And he even told them to drop a few extra stalks of barley for her to pick up. As a result, Ruth took home about 22 litres of barley. That's about the same amount of room you would need for 67 cans of Coke. Well, Naomi, once Ruth had got home, wondered how she had brought back so much barley. I think this must have made them feel, well, very happy, don't you? They knew that God and his people were taking care of them. They were feeling the benefits of being in God's family. Ruth told Naomi how kind Boaz had been, and this pleased Ruth so much to see that someone from her wider family was helping out. This kind of relative, like Boaz, was called a kinsman redeemer, someone from the family who helps us. It's important that we, isn't it, that you and I are ready and willing to help out our family members too. That's really important. It's true for our family at home and for those in God's family, such as others in our church here at Carey. Well, Jesus is from our Christian family, and when we believe and trust in him, we become part of that very special and enormous family, God's family. That's why the Bible in 1 Corinthians says Christians are sons and daughters of God, sons and daughters of God. That sounds incredibly special, doesn't it? Do you belong to that family already, or do you want to join it now? In a moment, I'm going to put a special prayer up on the screen so that if you want to, you can say that prayer and put your trust in Jesus right now. I hope you feel that the time is right and that you can do that. But if you do, it's really important to tell another Christian you can trust, perhaps a parent, so that they can help you. And they will be unbelievably happy to hear that from you. And talking of helpers, when we put our trust in God, God promises that he will send a special helper to help us in our lives. He is called the Holy Spirit. So that even if you feel alone, you won't be.